Rob, here we are ahead of Birmingham. Excited for the prospect, and look, you're still in the hunt for the playoffs, which is good.
Yeah, obviously 4 weeks to go. I think the three points maybe the
Three
difference.
points, yeah.
Not really. I've not really tried looking too much, but yeah. Look, we've probably crunch time now. Need to get probably a few more points on there and stuff. 4 more weeks, I think. Maybe 10 points, maybe around that, maybe a little bit more. But look, just play well every week and perform, and I need to put points on the board now.
You called it crunch time. Is this better for you, knowing that you now have to win? Because in week one or two, in the subconsciously, you can go, "It's all right. I've still got weeks to go." Now, time running out. Is that better for you now? It is mind on.
Think it just puts more urgency into it for me. I think what you don't want to do, you don't want to get sort of too far away at the start of it and other stuff. And I've always sort of been up and around it. I've had a couple of probably unlucky weeks and all, as you do, but that starts. But overall, in general, I'm happy with my game and all. I think I'm playing well. I was a bit flat against Gezi in the second game last week, which I was a bit disappointed with myself. But look, beggars can't be choosers. We have to move on. And like I said, there's a bit of light there now. After sort of 16 weeks is a long time. You look at 4 weeks and I think, right, everything what I've got left now, everything where I am. I took a bit of time off and I look to sort of pour that in now for the next 4 weeks, and I still believe I'll make it.
Yeah, look, you touched on being flat. That this is a common trend here that we're seeing players play well one game but struggling to then produce, and that even people that have won nights have not hit the heights in so on. How difficult is it getting ready for those three games?
It just depends. I suppose, look, it depends where you are. If you play first, you've got a little bit more time. If you play last, you've got obviously about half hour. But no excuses because we're used to that in most tournaments on a Sunday, whether we play Euro Tour or whatever, you get to the business end and then it's all systems go, them semis and finals come around pretty quick. You can have a sort of 10-15 minute turnaround for the last bit. But yeah, it's just a bit weird for me, not winning a second game in it at the minute. It's been unusual, but I don't even think it's psychological, to be honest. Just not sort of really happened.
Again, crunch time. How disappointing would it be to you if you weren't part of that final four?
I did. That's what we look. The intentions is always get top four. Fifth doesn't matter. Sixth doesn't matter. I know we all get paid and stuff, but look, if you're not there on the night where you can do some damage and actually win the trophy, I'll be sort of, I'm going to be a bit bitter over it, put it that way. I want to be there and I want to be part of it, and it'd be nice to go back to the O2.
Yeah, you touched on your game. You said it. You feel it's in a good place. That Rob Cross always wins a TV tournament along the way. But at the moment, obviously, you know you have the Dutch Darts Masters, but there's a little bit of a drought there. How close are you to rediscovering that form that wins you big TV titles?
I just look. I think some weeks, look, with me, it can come down to a bit of motivational. I need to get myself sort of going in the right direction. But if anything, just lately I've took some time off. I've rested up, so I feel fresher and sort of just try and pour everything what I've got in there. Hitting a lot of 100 averages or 98 pluses, but sometimes they're not good enough. We all get found out, but sort of going forward into these next 4 weeks, it will just be a big push. And look, it's all over after then if I don't make it. So I don't want it to be over. So I need to start getting results now.
Yes, Bobby.
Cheers, mate.
Hi, Rob.
How we
How
doing?
would you compare this year's Premier League campaign of yours to the previous years you've been in? Has it felt any different or?
I've been consistent. I think last year, if I compared it to last year, I can't really remember the rest to be honest before that. But nah, comparing it to last year, I had a massive dull period, sort of 6 weeks last year. Don't think I picked up any points in 6 weeks. Yeah, I did. I've probably managed it a little bit better this year, and I've definitely enjoyed it a little bit more. Also, don't get me wrong; it's always great to go out and play in front of the big crowds, but it's nice to go up there and try and get a performance out of yourself and play well. Which this year I would say I've played a bit better.
Yeah, you mentioned that management is becoming sort of a topical conversation, I guess, with the amount of tournaments that are on offer to you guys and the rest of the tour. How much is that now coming into the thinking, especially with you guys being in the Premier League and playing as well, pretty much most days a week, I imagine.
Yeah, I think look, it's personal preference to the individual, really, isn't it? You know, you got to manage your schedule if you burn yourself out, and I have done in the past. I think sometimes I can be hitting the resuscitation button for weeks or if not months, you know, until it comes back and I feel happy with the game. Sometimes it can feel a bit topsy-turvy underneath that, but look. All eight are experienced in this year, you know, and I think if it does just get too much, you do just need to sort of drop a weekend or get a bit of family time, whatever you need. I have to admit, I don't really, if I had to speak truthfully, I don't really want to sort of play 5, 6 days a week or 5 days a week, you know. Um, I prefer to sort of play 3 or 4, really. But yeah, when you get pro tours and other stuff, it is full on and with the traveling. But look, we manage it, and you have to do it as the individual. We're all different. We all feel differently at certain times, and I think I've done that better this year. You know, I've missed a few tournaments in the last sort of 3, 4 weeks. I've managed to sort of grab the family time what I wanted. It's been nice to be home. Sun shining today. I wish I was back with them now, you know, barbecue weather. But yeah, it's just to the individual really to get it right.
You talked about it a little bit with Phil, but 3 points off those playoffs, does it feel like one burst over 2 weeks may be enough to get you into those O2 playoffs?
I don't know. I think I'd still pick consistency for the next 4 weeks. I think if I pick 8 points up, that puts me on 22. They've still got to get points, depending on draws, whether they play each other or whatever. I don't know everyone else's draw. But my next three out, you know, I put me two closer to Gezi, for instance, because I've got him in there, and Michael, obviously. I think minimum I need to win a game every week, just for a start off, and then maybe 2 weeks, 2 good weeks, finals or whatever, or a win. You know, a win would make it more comfortable.
Okay, cheers, Rob.
Cheers, mate.
Rob, in this Premier League, it's only the two Lukes at the top that have a higher average than you. Is it hard to sort of keep that frustration at bay, knowing that you are playing well, but not necessarily converting it into results?
I think look, I've had quite a few 6-5s and stuff like that. You know, I've been a bit unfortunate against Luke Littler the other week with a 1-4-5 going in. My own fault that I missed, you know. I think I missed two match starts when I previously played him and all. So yeah, obviously they're hurtful losses. But at the same time, look, you still have to sort of rebuild yourself, go up there and do it again next week. So you have to just sort of brush it off a little bit and just keep moving forward, you know. I have chose lately just to have a bit of time off just so I can feel a bit fresher for it, and look, it's important now. It's been important all the way through, but sort of when you look at it and only 4 weeks to go, you can see sort of the light at the end of the tunnel there now, and certainly not damaged me chances yet, you know, but I will need to put points on the board, obviously.
And you talk about time off. How important is having that experience of previous campaigns just to know how to manage that schedule? We've heard Luke Humphries talk about maybe suffering from a little bit of burnout, and it's easy to forget that he's not even done two full Premier League campaigns yet.
I think, look, we all know we have to listen to ourselves, and I think sometimes we look at stuff, or I certainly do. I look at stuff in 3, 4 weeks' time, and I think to myself, yeah, I do this one, I do this one, and I do this one. Whereas before, I would have carried on and I would have pushed myself to different limits to try and get everything what I've already planned or booked or organised to go to, you know. And I think sometimes instead of just following the way you feel 4 weeks before or 3 weeks before, I think sometimes you get there if you're not well or whatever. There's no point going to break yourself for the weekend. Just get yourself right for the next week and pick yourself up and try and get them points on. And obviously, if you're playing the weekend, go in there and have a good ranking tournament too. So just sort of listening to yourself, really. That's all I've done this year. I started to feel I wouldn't say frail, but I started to feel sort of a bit of burnout or whatever, and I had a few other problems at the time, and it was just a good time just to sort of miss a few tournaments and get a bit of family time in, really.
And if you looked at all late players and the Premier League as a whole, how would you compare the quality this year to maybe previous campaigns that you've taken part in?
Um, I don't know really. I think it's been close. It's been closely contested. There's been a lot of close games with the 6-5s and the other stuff. I'd probably say average wise. I would like to say that I thought it was probably one of the best average wise what we've ever seen or what I've ever experienced. But at the same time, averages don't win certain things for some boys, and it all varies and all it depends. Yeah, when you come to play players, you take for instance 1 week you'll bump into 112, and then maybe the player after you, that person might only hit a 92. Is a big contrast, isn't there, of when you're meeting the players and what's happening. So look, you need a bit of an element of a bit of luck and all.
Cheers, Rob. Thank you.
Is mate.
Hi, Rob. Obviously the game against Van Gerwen coming up, it's a huge one. Would you say it's pretty much like a six-pointer in terms of football terms?
Yeah, I think look, it's massively important. 4 weeks left to go and stuff, and I'll be honest with you, need to start, or I need to start sort of making a move now, getting myself back up towards there, at least sort of getting with a point or whatever, probably by this week. You don't want to be leaving it to the last week, that's for sure. But then, yeah, you don't want to be out of it by the last week. So, yeah, massive important game. But I'm actually really looking forward to it. I've rested up. I've had a nice little 6 days off and sort of bit of time with the family, doing pretty much nothing. Back in the gym a little bit, but apart from that, it's yeah, just sort of freshen up and go in there and play well.
Are you surprised to see Michael battling it out for a playoff spot because he's normally already made it through, and I think he's only missed out on the playoffs once. Does it mean that this Premier League is more competitive than any other ones that you've been in,
Um,
potentially?
I think it's more competitive darts in general, and I think the Premier League's been very competitive this year. In certain sort of cases, I think the two Lukes have obviously sort of blitzed up the top there, and they've got a little bit of a cushion there compared to the rest. But testament to the other sort of six players. We're all close, we're all around each other, and yeah, it doesn't surprise me at the minute because I still don't think Michael has been at his brilliant best, but he's not playing terrible, maybe just not getting results for it.
You got Price in Leeds, Derby in Aberdeen, and then it comes down to Sheffield. Do you think it will be decided there? And would you like to
I
keep
like to
talking?
think I could have it done in 3 weeks, to be honest. But nah, being realistic, if it goes down to the last week, then now you just got to show your minerals, haven't you, and just got to keep plugging away and get it done. I think that's the biggest thing for me. I've had a few unlucky results, I would say, this year in the Premier League, but I've let nothing affect me. I've sort of managed to sort of not forget about it because you don't forget about it, but put it to the back of your head and just sort of just keep plowing forward with it. I've been very impressed with myself with my attitude to it this year. So it's been easier to focus really.
Lovely. Thanks for your time, Rob.
Cheers, mate.
Hi, Rob. Thanks for your time.
How we doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, all good, all good. Obviously, there's been some sort of jostling with it's been the Lukes and everyone else sort of thing this year, obviously, as you've alluded to. Is there a feeling sort of backstage? Is that the sort of feeling backstage as well? Does everyone just think, oh, we've just got to try and topple the two Lukes, or does no one discuss that?
No, I don't really have a conversation about who's in the Premier League in the backstage. I think try and stay away from it. When you look at the table, the two of them are at the top. So yeah, I suppose for everyone in that though, if you would have said to all eight players that you could have a place in the top four by the end of it, we all would have snapped their hands off. Whether it would have been fourth or first. But yeah, in the back room, nothing really like that. It's you are where you are and you perform to where you are, and if you're not there by the end of it, obviously you've not done well enough. So that's just life, isn't it?
One of the things that's been apparent with you for the last couple of weeks, obviously you weren't well, and then you've taken some time off, as you've said as well, and it's important. Is burnout an issue as well? I know we spoke to Luke Littler. He said that sort of burnout was perhaps the biggest enemy now, more than any other rival. Do you think that's important because you've had to come through the same sort of process in a way when you were world champion? Suddenly you had to deal with this busier schedule. Is that really apparent now that you've got to all deal with that?
I think it's most important that you organise your calendar and your schedule. Sometimes, look, I can plan stuff 4 weeks out and have stuff booked to, I don't know, go to a European or whatever. But at the same time, you can get a week before it and just not feel right or whatever. And sometimes probably in the past I've been too guilty instead of sort of staying at home and taking that time off. I've probably gone, and all of a sudden sometimes you can play a bad game and then it has a knock-on effect the next week. So look, man, managing your schedule's massive. There's a lot of darts out there now, but we're all professionals. We all pay people round us to sort of give us good advice and all. And I've been very fortunate with my management. Very supportive. That if I wasn't well or I was feeling a bit tired, just not to go, just to sort of spend the time where I need it.
Great stuff. Listen, thanks very much, Rob. Good luck tomorrow.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, guys. And then just Josh, you've got a couple as well, please. Thanks.
Hi, Rob. How are you?
How we doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, all good. Thank you, mate. All good. Just a couple from me. Up against Michael tomorrow night, a really decisive game in that race for the top four. But you've beaten him 6 out of the last 7 times. How much belief can you take from that into tomorrow?
No, I feel very good. Obviously, I think if we looked at previous, I don't think that's going to matter. He knows the importance of the game as much as I do. And look, he's one of the most professionalist people I've ever met in the game. For what he's achieved and all. So he knows full well the importance of the game. I think the previous record won't mean nothing. The best man's going to go up there tomorrow and he's going to win. And yeah, I think it'll be me, but I think it's going to be him. So look, it's going to be a great game anyway.
And you said you've had a week off with the family, you're feeling refreshed, and you're playing really well at the moment. So you must feel that your game's in a really good place now heading into this decisive running.
Yeah, I think 4 weeks left, and I feel as if like I've just started it, to be honest, with the rest what I've had. So yeah, hopefully we can get top gear out, and if I do that, I'll qualify by the end.
And you've been really consistent in the quarterfinals. I think only the two Lukes and Michael have won more quarterfinals than you. It's just not happened in the semi-finals. What do you put that down to, and what's the key to changing that over the next 4 weeks?
I don't know, maybe a little bit of lack of concentration or whatever, I can't really put my finger on it. Some weeks I've gone out and I've flown in the second in the semi and maybe it's not quite worked out. But then on the other side of it, it is what it is, and I think 4 weeks left now, pour everything what I've got left into it now. And that's most important. It's I will probably have to change that if I want to qualify, but then yeah, I've done other things in my life.
Perfect. That's all for me. Cheers, Rob.
Thank you very much.